À. All right. Well, today with our zero viewer stream at the moment, I don't know if it'll increase or decrease, but for now, well, we might as well get the show on the road while we still can. So here's how this is going to work. We're going to have a little tier list here, and I'm going to rank them based off of how good they are, both casually and competitively. I'm mostly going to implement competitively. I will talk about casually just a little bit, but it's not going to be the main focus. So hopefully we can still make stuff happen. So here we have the no tier. I mean, it's pretty much going to be reserved for two positions here. It's going to be holder and long snapper because they don't exist in Football Legends. It should be pretty obvious they don't exist. It'd be funny if they existed, but they aren't really a necessity since they're incredibly niche as it is and only really used in special teams. So yeah, I mean, it'd be funny if they added them in, but they're just a no tier because they don't actually exist. Uh, D and D tier is going to be like we're kind of pretty much garbage. Like maybe not unviable because I mean all these positions here are viable in some way, but it's pretty much just going to be garbage and you have to work like far harder. Like pretty much garbage. Like it's not unviable, but it's just not good. Like it's very much underperforming. C tier is pretty much the definition of like mediocre. Like they can do things and they can make plays, but they just aren't that great. B is gonna be just balanced. Like they're good. Like they're not really like super great, but they're not bad. They're just pretty good, I guess. They're just balanced. They're fine. And then A tier is gonna be they're good, but they're not overpowered. Like they're strong. And S tier is obviously like overpowered tier. Like nerf them ASAP. And all right, well, I guess we're all right. Should we just pick a random one, or you want me to just go in order? I mean, I don't really care either way, but it's more of just yeah. Punter. Uh, I don't really know where to put punter because punter is like extremely niche. But it does get its uses, so I'm not sure if I should put it in D or C. I don't think it's quite as playmaking though, because it's not really meant to be. I just don't feel like there's a lot of control on where you can punt the football or like where you can punt it extremely well. Um, it's just really hard for me to do because it has a niche and it just fits it well, but it's not like a carry position, so it makes it really hard for me to rank this one. Hmm. I'm just I'll put it in D tier for now, just because I think punter could be a lot better. I guess is a better word. A lot better. I don't really have much words outside of that I can think of off the top of my head. All right. Well, I'm just gonna pick another random one. Just wide receiver. I mean, I don't really need to think too much of this one. I mean, I feel like it's either at least an A tier. Maybe a lot of people would put it in S tier, and honestly, I would kind of agree. I don't think it's the best position in the entire game, but I do think it's definitely top three at least. Easily, like, and I don't think it's number three. Like, it's just so I would say top two, and some could easily argue it's not number two, but yeah, I'm not one of them. I think it's probably the second best position here when I'm looking at everyone here, maybe even third, but yeah, it's just a strong position overall. It's not bad whatsoever. It's not the best position in the game, or it's not the best position in the game, but it's definitely extremely strong and extremely viable, both in just casual and competitive play. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to address punter. I mean, punter's just kind of an afterthought that no one wants to have on their team during a play because punting equals bad. And like, it's really hard for punter to really do much on its own that can like super duper make plays. So I feel like it's kind of just D tier for that reason. But I don't really know what you could really do with punter, in my opinion, to make it more prominent. But I don't know. Maybe at some point, maybe if defense was a bit more viable in the meta, I feel like it could definitely. be a decent position. But yeah, that's just me though. Wide receiver can stay there though. Wide receiver is just really flashy. It's easy to play. It's easy to learn. It has a low skill floor, high skill ceiling. It's like again, like I said before, it's one of if not the best position in the game. I don't personally think so, but I know a lot of people will make that argument that it is, just because of how popular it currently is. But that's just me. I'm not ranking this solely on popularity though. We're just gonna defensive line. Okay, defensive line is really weird in Roblox football games because there are times where it can make plays, but there's also other times where it's just completely useless or it just gets completely phased out. So I don't really know where to put it in that way. I feel like it could be C tier for me, maybe even B, but I think C tier seems like a right fit for me. I don't think defensive line is terrible in the sense that it's unviable because it definitely has a use. It has a ton of purpose. It can test the run. It can make plays with sacks, but it's more of just defensive line just isn't really that impactful in certain situations, especially when the quarterback just backs up for over 30 yards, then yeets it down the field, and all the defensive line can just sit there and watch. And there's also plenty of times where you can just not be a factor in anything. So it just feels like you're helpless a lot of the time as well, where there's just nothing you can do about it no matter how hard you try. And that's just kind of how defensive line is sometimes. But it doesn't take away that it can make plays, it can still do things, and yeah, it's just a respectable position that you definitely need to respect, but it's definitely kind of underwhelming in terms of its power. And again, it kind of applies to both casual and competitive play. Like a quarterback backing up over 30 yards, there's nothing you can do about it. Like unless the quarterback's at their own 10-yard line, like you might as well just not even be able to get a sack. Like if you do, it's just mostly on the quarterback being dumb half of the time, or just quarterback lag spiking or something dumb like that. So it's really not even the defensive line making some like crazy move most of the time. It's just kind of the quarterback being dumb or making a mistake. So that's kind of where defensive line is right now. But yeah, it again, it has a purpose, but it's just not the most impactful. All right, where do we put you? Safety. Um, I feel like you can kind of put all the defensive positions here. Sorry. I feel like yeah, you could put safety, cornerback, and linebacker all in the same area. Although I think linebacker is a bit more of a league exclusive position rather than like a casual or competitive exclusive thing. But safe, I mean, I mean, I feel like you can pretty much put them all into B tier. Like they're just fine. Like they aren't terrible, but they aren't good. Like they can still make plays. I think they have a better shot making plays than defensive line, but I don't think they're like good. They're like extremely strong in any way. So I don't think they're anywhere close to S tier or even A tier. I think B's just fine. Honestly, I feel like you can interchange these three if you wanted. I think just power level wise, I don't think there's really an order to this. I mean, if it was my opinion, I feel like it'd be like this. I mean, I think safety is definitely the best position right now of the three. Or I guess four in this case, if you count defensive line, because like streaks are pretty much 100% the meta competitively, and everyone wants to do crazy toss ups in the end zone and whatever. And they want to do deep passes for days. Like safety is just really good at defending that, so obviously it's just going to be the best at that. Linebacker is exclusively a league position, so I mean it can do things, but it's mostly just they just play around the short middle, and maybe they occasionally contest the run, but that's only occasionally. Even then, it's not super reliable with that. And cornerback, it's mostly just what you call a short in leagues. They basically just cover the short left or right in terms of their role in the cover three zone. Safeties just that don't get beat deep. That's kind of a majority of your uh, game plan. But yeah, safety's just there because of streaks, cornerback because it complements safety a bit on the short routes because streaks and folds are pretty much the meta right now, and I don't think anyone's really going to dispute that. And linebackers just kind of there. But it's not bad. They're all not bad though by any means. It's just kind of that's what happens when we're in an offensive oriented meta. But yeah, honestly, you could put any of these three and interchange them if you like, but that's just my opinion. All right, let's look. Kicker. Uh, honestly, I do think kicker is a bit underused, but at the same time, it definitely can make big plays though. So I'm not going. I don't think I should put it in C tier because I think it has a lot more use than defensive line. I think it has a lot more playmaking ability than defensive line. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. I think I'll put it probably below all the defensive positions here in B tier. I mean, I feel like a kicker is just always a weird position because I think with Football Legends, like ever since they force field goals in certain situations around your side of the opponent's side of the field, I feel like kicker could be a lot more useful. But at the same time, it's also really hard to nail kicks when there's been so many blocked kicks and field goals and PATs. So I mean, I think you can definitely argue it could go to C tier just for that. But I think just the playmaking potential of kicker, I think it kind of saves it from dropping to C tier, in my opinion. Yeah, kicker is definitely far from bad. Like maybe you could use a little bit of help in other ways, but I'm gonna keep it at that. Quarterback. Well, I don't think this one's much of a discussion either. It's, in my opinion, the best position in the game by a huge margin. Like I don't think it's really close. If I had another tier, it'd probably be a whole other tier above wide receiver, at least for me. And I think the reason why is because it's practically the only position that can make multiple other positions just not exist or not quite as prevalent. Like it make like quarterbacks backing up 30 yards and throwing it from any range it wants, like just completely eliminating the worry about positioning. It just completely, I wouldn't say completely invalidates, but it mostly makes defensive line look bad. And the worst part is it's not even defensive line's fault for why it's not that great in this tier. I think quarterback is just that overpowered in the sense that you just don't have to worry about some things like positioning or pressure. Like unless you're at your own 10-yard line, like you shouldn't even have to worry about the defensive line sacking you. And it's even worse of a defensive line if they have blockers. Like quarterback is just that brain dead and degenerate for a lot of people. And even in casual play, it's still kind of the same issue. It's just kind of, oh, it's just pass the streaks the whole time. I think it's a very reason why streaks is so prominent because there just isn't that big of a downside to just backing up 30 yards and firing a streak. And I didn't go in depth on that later, but that's sort of why defensive line is even in C tier. If it wasn't so overpowered, it probably would be B tier or maybe even A tier. But since quarterback is just so strong and it practically makes defensive line and another position I'm going to talk about later just completely obsolete, like it just definitely deserves an S tier. And I would not be shocked if it got nerfed later on. I don't know when and I don't know where, but I could definitely see quarterback being the first position to get nerfed. Maybe not nerfed into the ground, but definitely at least to maybe like a B or A tier, just because of how strong deep passes are in this game and how hard it is to cover. Especially when man-to-man coverage is also very difficult to do as well, which makes defense kind of mid or middle mediocre because then you had forced to play zone because it's just so hard to cover man for such a long period of time. But yeah, so it just controls the entire game and just makes the game really imbalanced. So yeah, that's why I think quarterback is kind of the driving force and is undisputably the best position in the game by a huge mile. All right, well, I'm gonna look at tight end. Tight end's a bit weird because it's a bit of a league exclusive position. It's not really used much or referred to much in casual play. But when you do see it, it's actually pretty strong. Like, I know blocking is a little bit inconsistent, and we can talk about O line with that later. But honestly, blocking isn't really completely worthless. It is quite a bit weaker than it is in. But yeah, it is definitely plenty weaker than it is compared to other games like NFL UF and then Football Fusion 2. Like blocking is significantly weaker and more inconsistent than that. So it does kind of tank its value quite a bit. But tight end can also be sort of a receiver in a way where they just catch checkdowns or do whatever. So tight end definitely has that flexibility to, I think, at least sustain an A tier for right now. Even though it doesn't, I do wish tight ends did kind of have an identity though, at the very least, because it's mostly just block, go for a pass. Like it doesn't really have anything super unique to it that it really specializes in. Because it takes the blocking ability from offensive line, takes the catching from wide receiver. Like obviously I know every position can theoretically catch the ball, well except for punter and kicker, but it's mostly just kind of like it doesn't really have anything it's really known for without stealing off from other positions here. But yeah, tight end is still really good. I know it doesn't really have that much usage in casual play, but I think in competitive, it's definitely extremely good and usually a must have in a lot of offensive teams. But yeah, it's just really good. I think it's good enough for an A tier. Definitely not overpowered, but definitely good. Uh, all right, offensive line. Offensive line is really weird because from what I've seen in a lot of league games, it definitely is incredibly inconsistent. Like sometimes it just looks really good, and other times it just looks really bad, just depending on the situation or how good the blocking is in that single play. And I don't know where to put it for that reason. I think maybe like a high B tier for sure, at least. Just because I do think blocking is a little inconsistent. I think it's pretty good right now. I think it could use a small buff to maybe get it to at least A tier. But again, I think with the blocking hitbox being so inconsistent, I think it kind of drags it down just a little bit, but it's still not a bad position because offensive line is still a support position. It's not meant to carry like punter, but it can still allow other positions to make plays. It's not really like punter where it can't really make other positions do things. Like O-line can at least let the quarterback and wide receiver make plays or at least give them more room to do so. So again, like it's just a really good support position. Anyone who loves playing support in like hero shooters or RPGs, like you're pretty much going to like this position a lot if you're a big fan of them. I kind of am a big fan of them too, personally. I don't play O-line in Roblox football, so I'm not super crazy about it, but I definitely do play it from time to time. So it's not like it's a position I ever play, but I don't think it's a bad position by any means right now. I think it could maybe use a small buff to maybe take it to A tier with maybe just a small blocking hitbox buff, but it's definitely not terrible. I think it's a good one. And then last but not least, we have running back. And I'm gonna be real honest. I think running back is just garbage. Like it's going to D tier because I just haven't seen it be worth using whatsoever. Now I have seen just a little bit of usage with it compared to other Roblox football games, so I don't think it's F tier by any means. So at least it gets some usage, just enough to get out of D tier. And I have seen it work okay on occasion, so definitely far from F tier, but I don't think it has the results to really keep up with every other offensive position in the league. And sure, maybe blocking buffs could help it, but even with it, I don't think it's just going to be that good when quarterback can just do everything running back can do. Like, and that's what that was the other position I was sort of referring to with quarterback when making two positions obsolete. And that quarterback can really just do everything running back can do. Like, even if you gave running back truck, like, quarterback just still consistently runs better than running back does. And that's even if you give it truck. And even if you did have truck, I don't think even that would save it just because hit stick exists. Like, sure, if the opposing team doesn't have hit stick, like, sure, maybe there's a chance running back can do something. I mean, it's not even guaranteed, but it maybe, just maybe, it can do something. And I've seen the Bears in CFL run it quite a bit, so I'm not going to say, like, oh, it never works, oh, it never can make plays, because I've seen it get 3 touchdowns in that game. But again, like I said before, that was mostly because the Bills, or almost none of the Bills players, didn't even have hit stick. I think only one did, and I don't think he was even a defensive line. So that's sort of why running back did a bit more than it probably should have. And then when I saw it get used in on a team with a lot of hit stick players, you just saw almost none of it, and it barely did anything. So it's just kind of one of those like noob traps that, like, if you don't really know how to counter it, or you don't have the resources to counter it, it's just, it can be viable. But I mean, I say it can because it's not even a guarantee. But if they do have it, you just don't get to exist. So that's why I think it's D tier, just because it's just super easy to counter. It's just a noob trap to really have. And again, I'm not saying you can't do things with running back. You can definitely can. But it's just, you're basically gonna have to work a lot harder than every other position combined to be able to succeed with this. Like, you will pretty much be almost laughed at every single time for it, and it's just not fun. Like, I definitely think running back could definitely use a rework, just because I just don't think it's really that good. But yeah, it just needs a rework. I think this is probably the one position I think that would probably need a rework, or even just a buff. Because right now I think it's just kind of just not even that crazy good. And and yeah, that's pretty much just about it. I don't think I can really make this tier list much better, if I'm being honest with myself. I think I don't know, I don't think it's a terrible list. I like it a lot. I think it's great. And I think that's it. So either way, this is my Football Legends position tier list. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.